So I stopped keeping crypto on exchanges when Coinbase froze my funds for well over a month without any explanation. But the real cherry on top is when I learned that thousands of my subscribers have also had their funds frozen on various exchanges. One subscriber even lost $25,000 on an exchange after they closed his account. But why does this happen? How do exchanges get away with it? And most importantly, how do you prevent this from ever happening to you? Well, in this video, I'm going to walk you through the 5 lessons I wish I had known before keeping my crypto on an exchange. Knowing these things early on can help you avoid frozen funds, locked accounts, and potentially losing all of your crypto. The first and maybe most surprising lesson I learned is that crypto exchanges are actually required by law to freeze your crypto. Let me explain. There are really only 2 scenarios where an exchange might freeze your crypto, and you're more than likely to experience at least one of these scenarios. Scenario number 1 happens anytime you buy crypto on an exchange. Similar to when you go to the store and you buy something using your debit card, it usually takes a few days for that transaction to fully clear your bank. Well, the same thing applies to crypto exchanges. When you buy crypto on an exchange, they do not fully release your funds until that transaction clears your bank. So even if you bought $1,000 worth of Bitcoin today, you might not be able to access it for up to 9 days until that transaction finally clears your bank. Unfortunately, there's not much we can do about this. It's just how our current financial system works, and crypto exchanges are tied up in that. But the second scenario is much more frustrating and could result in losing access to your crypto indefinitely, or at least for a really long time. Crypto exchanges are money transmitters. That means they have to adhere to strict anti-money laundering and know your customer laws. And under these AML laws, if the exchange detects anything suspicious about your account, they have to either freeze your funds or lock your account while they investigate. And this could be something serious, like you've interacted with a cryptocurrency or a wallet address that is linked to criminal activity, or it could be something more ordinary, like you signed into your crypto exchange from a different location, or you just haven't updated some documents on file that need to be updated. But in all AML investigations, crypto exchanges actually aren't able to tell you that you're being investigated. So from your perspective as a user, it just looks like the crypto exchange froze your account for no reason and you're just a sitting duck. Now, if the exchange determines that your account is not suspicious and you haven't done anything wrong, then you will regain access to your crypto and there's no harm done. But if your account is linked to any suspicious activity, even if it wasn't your doing or you had no clue that you were involved in suspicious activity, you could actually lose access to your crypto indefinitely. Now, this leads me to the second lesson I wish I'd known before keeping crypto on an exchange, and that is, even though you technically own the crypto, you don't actually control it. And this is true for every crypto exchange. Coinbase, Kraken, Robinhood, Caleb & Brown, you name it, you don't actually own your crypto. But I think Coinbase explains this best, or at least they try to. Coinbase is a centralized crypto exchange that holds your cryptocurrency or digital assets for you. When you buy, receive, or hold digital assets using Coinbase or literally any other crypto exchange, they are securely stored for your benefit in a hosted digital wallet. In other words, Coinbase and other crypto exchanges hold your crypto in their wallets. But notice this last line. At all times, these assets are yours. They never belong to Coinbase. Just because an exchange keeps a record of what you're owed doesn't mean you actually control that crypto. And the best example I have of this is something that happened to my best friend. He had a few $1,000s worth of crypto on his Coinbase account where he held it for a couple of years. And then one day somebody tried to sign into his Coinbase account, so Coinbase locked his account. Now, this doesn't seem like a bad thing right off the bat. It just seems like Coinbase is trying to protect him. However, when he requested to unlock his account, Coinbase said that they needed some documents. They needed his ID, they needed a selfie, proof of residence, what he ate for breakfast. He sent all of that to them just for them to come back and say, sorry, we can't help you. This battle of trying to unlock his account went on for a year. An entire year, he was not able to access what Coinbase claims to be his crypto. It wasn't until he threatened legal action that Coinbase support suddenly prioritized his support ticket, and then within a few days his account was unlocked. And by then his crypto was already less than what he had paid for it. And I'm going to tell you how to prevent this from happening to you, but first we need to understand how crypto exchanges trick users into keeping crypto on their platforms, because a lot of people still believe that crypto exchanges have the user's best interest in mind. They don't. Almost every exchange offers some kind of perk for holding your crypto on their platform. Coinbase offers APY yield on USDC, Robinhood offers rewards for sending crypto to their platform, and most other exchanges like Wealthsimple offers staking rewards for various cryptocurrencies. And this seems like a great deal until you ask the question, why? What do they get out of it? And the answer is simple. They make more money when you hold your crypto on their platform. The longer your crypto sits on their platform, the more likely you are to buy more, trade it, stake it, borrow against it, and use their other services while they rake in billions of dollars in fees. In other words, exchanges have a financial incentive to keep your crypto on their platforms. And there's nothing inherently wrong with this. Crypto exchanges are businesses. Businesses have to make money. I get it. But it's important to understand that these rewards aren't free. They're designed to encourage a behavior that benefits the exchange, not the user. For example, Coinbase has a revenue sharing agreement with Circle, who's the issuer of the USDC stablecoin. The agreement is they keep 100% of the interest earned on all of the USDC held on their platform. That means Coinbase is raking in billions of dollars every single year just because you hold your USDC on their exchange. But hey, at least you're getting a cut of that too, right? But at what cost? Well, you're giving up control and ownership of your crypto for a measly 3.5% APY. Congratulations. But here's the thing most people don't realize. You don't need to keep your crypto on an exchange to earn yield and staking rewards. You can do all of that from your own crypto wallet without sacrificing control of your crypto. And that's why you'll rarely ever see an exchange encouraging you to transfer crypto to your own wallet. Because once your crypto leaves a platform, you leave their ecosystem and they stop making money off you. That leads us to one of the most expensive lessons on this list that many people continue learning the hard way, and that is even reputable crypto exchanges are known to disappear without a trace. How many exactly? Since 2014, around 42% of crypto exchanges in existence have disappeared without a trace and for no apparent reason. And who do you think suffers as a result of this? I'll give you a hint. It's not the crypto exchange. It's the users who end up losing all of the money. Since 2014, failed crypto exchanges have resulted in $50 billion in lost user funds. $50 billion. Some of the more recent and most popular failed crypto exchanges include FTX, where customers lost $10 billion, Mt. Gox, which resulted in $500 million in lost funds, and the failure of Three Arrows Capital, which resulted in the collapse of Celsius, BlockFi, and Voyager Digital, totaling more than $3 billion in lost user funds. And these are only a few examples of crypto exchanges that have shut down and disappeared over the last decade. But what I find even more interesting is how reputable and popular these exchanges once were. These were the go-to platforms of their time. Look at FTX, for example. It was backed by major venture capitalists, celebrities, and the founder, Sam Bankman-Fried, was often thought to be the most trusted guy in the space. Look how that turned out. All that to say, it doesn't matter how reputable or trustworthy an exchange looks from the outside. What matters is what happens to your crypto if the exchange goes under. Worst case scenario, you lose access to all of your crypto indefinitely and you never get it back. Best case scenario, you get access to your crypto years later after the lawsuit is done, kind of like what happened with FTX. Well, actually, the best case scenario is that you avoid keeping your crypto on exchanges altogether and realize that this next lesson is the most important one on this list, and that is the only way to truly own your crypto is to own the keys to your crypto. If you don't own the keys, you don't own the crypto. That's a simple fact. It's just how this technology works. Crypto exchanges are custodial wallets. Like I mentioned earlier, they hold the keys that control the wallets that hold your crypto. Therefore, they technically own and control your crypto. So if your goal is to own and control your crypto, you need to hold your keys. The only way to own your keys is by using a self-custodial wallet. This is simply a wallet that you set up. It randomly generates a brand new key for you, and only you have access to that key, meaning you're in full control of your crypto. So no one, including crypto exchanges, the government, even law enforcement, can access your crypto without your permission or compliance. As long as your crypto is in a self-custodial wallet, no one's going to freeze your funds, lock your account, close your account, or take your crypto. And that is the revolutionary thing about cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. It essentially allows you to be your own bank, but only if you hold your own keys. Now, there's technically two types of self-custodial wallets, but only one should be used to store your crypto long-term and protect it from hacks and scams. And it's actually the same types of wallets that multi-billion-dollar crypto exchanges use to secure their customer funds, and we have access to these same tools. It's called a hardware wallet. Now, there are dozens of different hardware wallet brands to choose from, but there's really only one that I recommend to beginners, or really to anyone who's looking to get their crypto off of the exchanges into their own self-custodial wallet where they can secure their crypto for years. I've been using Tangem for 3 years now, and it's really just the most enjoyable wallet that I own, and I own almost all of the hardware wallets at this point. But you can do everything with this wallet. You can buy crypto, you can sell it, you can trade it, you can earn yield, you can stake it, you can even spend your crypto at over 100 million Visa terminals worldwide using Tangem Pay. So if you're ready to get your crypto off the exchanges into your own self-custodial wallet, I'll make sure to drop a link along with a discount and my full step-by-step user guide to Tangem down in the description. But there's still one major lesson I've learned being in crypto over the last 6 years, and that is that we still need crypto exchanges. They play a vital role in buying and selling crypto. Really, the only way to buy crypto and then turn around and sell it for cash is using a crypto exchange. Now, sure, there are peer-to-peer marketplaces where you can trade crypto between other people, but the reality is 99% of crypto users aren't going through the hassle of using a peer-to-peer marketplace. They're using a crypto exchange. So even though this entire video has basically been me knocking crypto exchanges, it's not actually to say stop using crypto exchanges or that you could even if you wanted to. The best analogy that I've heard when it comes to using crypto exchanges came from one of my subscribers, and that is to treat crypto exchanges like you treat a public restroom. Do your business, get the heck out of there as fast as you can. My intention with this video isn't to get you to stop using crypto exchanges altogether. It is to inform you of the risks of treating a crypto exchange like your bank account. Exchanges are for buying, selling, and in some cases trading crypto, but if you want to truly own and control your crypto, you will never get that on a centralized crypto exchange. You will only get that using a self-custodial wallet. If you want to see how I've been using a self-custodial wallet for the past 6 years to manage my crypto, check out this next video. I'll meet you over there. God bless.